Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Meet the Experts. I would say fearless, but that wouldn't be actually true. I am your host, JVix, JVI Mobile Marketing and Journey Builder Software. Meet the Experts has been a blast. This is episode 70, I think, today. This is just crazy. 3 years of hard work, dedication, and meeting a ton of great business owners. It's so much fun to do this, to grow my network, and to really learn about a lot of businesses I didn't even know anything about prior to. So if you would like to be a guest, if you're watching this and you're like, that seems like pretty cool, how do I be a guest? Well, stick around to the end of today's episode where I will show you and how easy it is to become a guest on Meet the Experts. It costs you nothing. And at the end of it, you'll walk away with, we like to say, a year's worth of video content in less than 30 minutes. So, yeah, stick around to the end. Today, I've got a cool guest, another guest who's living not in the USA. Of course, he's originally from the US, but really excited to have David Beker on today. David's pretty cool. He's the founder and owner of ABetter Design Company. They bring products all the way to market from like your starting idea to the finish line, as you'll hear more about some of the products he's been working on and some of the things he does. I'm excited to ask him our usual questions. And so without further ado, and if I can find where my mouse is, I will bring David onto the screen. There he is. David, how are you, sir?
Hey there, Jay. Nice to see you.
It's great to see you as well.
Thanks for having me on today. I appreciate it.
Oh, of course. And now you are in Israel, correct?
That's correct. That is correct. I've been living here getting close to 30 years now, but as you can probably see behind me, I'm actually from Minnesota. And you can take a boy out of Minnesota, but you can't take Minnesota out of the boy. Definitely proud of where my roots are and proud of where I am today.
Love that. Love that. Well, welcome. Thanks for being on. And that's one of the cool things about this as I get another guest who's in another country. It's like this thing has become global, right? I've had people from several different countries now. You're the first guest I've spoken to on an episode who is in Israel. So I'm excited about that. But cool. So David, I know I mentioned a little bit in the intro, but just tell us more about who you are and what you do.
Okay. So as I mentioned, I'm originally from Minneapolis. I did not start my career in the business world. I spent the first chunk of my career, actually, I have a master's in social work, and that's really where I came from. The first big part of my career was spent in social work and community work and in informal education. And that was really the first big part. And at a certain point, I don't know if I was a little bit burnt out or if I just kind of felt I wanted something different. And I've always been somebody who has been creative and has, dabbled in playing with things and finding new ways of doing things and new approaches and ways to connect and this and that. And one thing led to another, and I decided it was time for a change. And together with a partner, I decided to make a major change, left the places I was working at, and actually up a gourmet ice cream cone company. Something that never thought about in my life before I would be doing. But it was an exciting challenge, and we had some really interesting, unique ideas. We wound up doing everything from sourcing materials to rolling ice cream cones ourselves and knocking on doors, literally just walking into an ice cream store and saying, we got a great product for you. We actually wound up meeting everybody throughout this entire country, not a huge country, but still a pretty nice size, and selling really our products in the best place in the country, in Tel Aviv and in Jerusalem and in other cities, with requests from the north to the south. And it was really a fantastic experience. And that was kind of my first venture into the business world. And things pretty much took off from there.
That's incredible. So now we go from ice cream cones to what your main products are now. So can you tell us about some of your products now and who they're for?
Sure. So I've really dabbled in a variety of different industries, but I would say at this point in time, I'm kind of an inventor. That comes with a lot of different challenges and a lot of different opportunities. I've worked on things in the stationery field, in the food industry, a little bit in kitchenwares, and most recently and most significantly in the toy industry. And that's really where I've been spending a lot of my energy right now. My first product hit the market about 4 months ago. As you can see, it's called Bankaball, which is really a spin-off on the classic traditional, you can see it there, Nerf basketball hoop. But, I grew up playing Nerf basketball. I think we discussed this in the past.
Yeah.
That we have a similar background in that way. And hours on end, we would have a great time with it. I also grew up in an era of, Larry Bird and Michael Jordan talking about nothing but net and trying out trick shots. And now in today's world with the Dude Perfects and this and that, the whole trick shot thing is really off on social media. Everybody loves it. It's a big thing. And I said, wait a second, why don't we take this standard traditional Nerf basketball hoop and make it more interesting? And so you can see here, this is an open bankable. Here's the ball. It's actually a really nice, strong foam ball. But what's unique about bankable, you get the angle right here, going the wrong way, is that you can actually, it's built for trick shots. So for example, you could do the regular, off the bankboard into the hoop. Can't quite get it right here. Or you can also twist and make the hoop at a particular angle, and that changes the entire game basically. Or you can also angle the backboard in different angles. There's about 3 different angles on each side here. There's 6 different angles on the hoop, and it's a whole new game. It's a whole new way of looking at the Nerf basketball style game, and it's been a lot of fun. The reviews we received across the board have been fantastic. Kids are having a good time with it. Young adults are having a good time with it. College students. It's been a lot of fun. And,
absolutely.
So far, so good.
I was gonna say I love the whole thought of like the game of horse in a dorm room at this point, right? It's a whole new level of horse or out or whatever you want to play there.
Yes.
From little kids all the way up, and I could see that now in my I want to say mid 40s. I'm pushing late 40s. I could still see that now having fun with either my daughter or just if I had a friend over, 2 grown men like doing bank shots in a
Yes.
living room. I mean,
quite a few of us have been over here playing. Quite a good amount. I'll tell you something else, by the way, that's nice, which was not really intended. And that's one of the nice things that happens sometimes when you invent and when you create and when you actually develop something on your own, is you discover new things along the way. So, I mentioned it goes in all different angles. Another way it goes is it can also go up, or down. So my little kids, this is hanging on the door, right? It's hanging on the door. My little kids can't reach it to dunk. But suddenly, if you go like this, they can dunk it. So it was an unintended consequence of the concept that we worked on, and it's been another population is enjoying it as well. And I actually had a discussion tonight with somebody I met at an event tonight, and she asked me what I was doing, and I was telling her something about this, and she loved it. She herself is a occupational therapist, and she said that would be fantastic for us. Because the idea that you can take a Nerf basketball hoop is a little hard for kids with certain kind of problems. But suddenly you do this, right? Yep. And it gives you a lot more ability for a kid to succeed in making a basket because it's much easier for the ball to go in the hoop in a certain way. So that was a nice thing also I hadn't thought of. So that was, you never know where these things are going to go to sometimes. And that's a lot of fun as well when you develop something.
I find that with our clients, people will, give us a suggestion for something in our software, or they'll have an idea for an automation, a marketing automation, and it's like, wow, that's like brilliant, and then we build it, because it's like, but I always find that, we shouldn't, as business owners, try to pretend that we know everything and we know best, right? Like if we listen to people are gonna have good ideas. It's kind of I always like companies that would always value what people would say rather than them trying to kind of take that top down approach, right?
Right.
You get a lot more. The more people you can open it up to, the more ideas you're going to get. So that's actually really cool.
It's interesting you say that. One of the questions I think you wanted to ask me later, but I'll jump to a little bit right now,
Okay.
is people haven't seen me in a while, or they just meet me and they say, "What do you do?" And I debate sometimes. Am I a business owner? Am I a product designer? Or am I an inventor? Right? And there's something very interesting and intriguing about that term inventor. And it's incredible because you learn everybody has ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are really interesting. Now, I'm not a tech guy. You're a tech guy, and that's not the world I dance in. But everybody has ideas for stuff, for things that you can actually touch. It's like, oh, that's so interesting. How do you do that? And they start asking you all sorts of questions about it. Like, well, I have an idea. Did you ever? Anybody ever think about that? And helping people, listening to people, and helping them say, well, look at that way or look at that way is really a fun part of having gone into the inventing space. That's really again, unintended consequences. That's really a fun element that I've been exposed to as well in that.
I do love that. So, all right, so you've had a successful ice cream cone business, right? And we've got this new product. But through your journey, I'm sure at some point in time, somebody was raving about something you did or served them, or like there's been a customer win or a testimonial. Does any one particular thing that maybe a customer has ever said to you just stand out in your mind that you could share?
I'll take it back to the ice cream a little bit.
Sure.
The ice cream cone business was not just regular ice cream cones. Our business was really the cones themselves, not the
Right.
ice cream. And what was unique about it was that, in general, ice cream cones are basically just, this was actually our byline, hold the cone, hold the ice cream, right? Because what is it? It's really just something to hold. Regular ice cream cones, very often people finish the ice cream, they throw away whatever is left of the cone. It's not the main experience. And so we looked at that and said, okay, let's try to make this a little bit better. And what we actually did was we developed a whole grain flavored ice cream cone with inclusions. So it's an integral part of the ice cream cone. You had dried nuts or dried fruits. You had a coffee hazelnut ice cream cone. You had a cherry orange ice cream cone. You had all sorts of different things. And that, in particular, that element of adding the inclusions into it was very unique. But the reality was that people were enjoying eating the cones themselves, even without the ice cream. So one day we had just dropped off some cones at an ice cream gourmet ice cream boutique in Tel Aviv, right on the Bear, a beautiful place. And this kid came in and got really excited and said, "Mom," he said, "Can we get that?" And basically the way he spoke about the cone was we suddenly realized that we had created a whole new category. Meaning he wasn't no longer talking about the ice cream. The ice cream, of course, he wanted the ice cream, but he also wanted the cone above and beyond. And it was a whole different element and a whole different category. And seeing this kid's eyes, just attracted to it in that way, and chocolate orange and this and that was a whole different thing. So that was really a fun thing to see and a fun thing to experience.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it was great. I'll also say, and with Bankable, there's a whole new world out there of social media. And, if it's unboxing kinds of things, and obviously certain things are choreographed, but others aren't. So others of them are live and real. And you see somebody when they first touch it and they first have it in their hands, and they're like, and they get it. And they get it. I mean, even the first time I showed it to you, you're like, that's awesome. You got it in a second, right? If you don't have to explain it in that way, and if someone gets it immediately, you're halfway there, I feel like, just seeing somebody and looking at it and seeing their reactions, that's what makes this a lot of fun.
I love that. That's the coolest. That right there, I think I think it all comes down to just seeing somebody smile or putting a smile on somebody's face, right? Making somebody happy, or taking them to a place in their mind where, life was different, better, anything. Just you're transforming them somehow. So, all right. So you kind of talked a little bit.
My guess is also, by the way, that today, at the young age of late 40s, you said,
Yeah.
you probably wouldn't go out and buy yourself a Nerf basketball hoop. Just you wouldn't have
Mhm.
really thought about it or this or that. But this suddenly it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different game. And whoa, and it kind of brings you back to a different time. If it was in your dorm room or with your buddies in college or after or younger kids or whatever, this immediately brings me back to when I was, I don't know, probably 10, 11, and I had this buddy who would
Yep.
always come over on Saturdays, and we would just nonstop for hours, games up to 100, and you didn't want to walk in that room after we were playing for a couple hours. It was a lot of fun,
I love
you
it.
know.
I love it. Well, so now we've kind of talked about how you got here in your journey, but I always call this the earned it, learned it, improved your authority. And you talked about having I think you said a
Social
psychologist
work,
degree,
social work.
social work. So, but anything along the way to being an inventor or entrepreneur, any title certifications, or how did you kind of get to this point, or was it all just self taught?
So I would say a lot of it was self-taught.
Hmm.
As I mentioned, my first experience was really the ice cream cone business, and that was
Hmm.
pretty much completely self-taught. Made a lot of mistakes along the way, had a lot of wins as well. Fantastic experience. Uh, After that experience, put it aside a little bit and felt I needed a little more stability again, and actually went back into the social work, community work world for a couple of years. And I was like, you know what? This isn't where I want to be. I want to be creating. I want to be entrepreneurial. I want to be inventing. I want to have that freedom and flexibility and excitement and challenge of it. It was a different kind of challenge for me. I went back. I decided to go back into it. I had a few ideas, but I did actually take a course with a company called Inventor, which actually works training inventors in a certain process of how to learn different steps of it. And they were very helpful. I learned a lot from them. But one of the things that happens when you do something like that is you get a lot more invested in the field. When I just did the ice cream cone, so I was in a particular ice cream cone industry, and I met everybody in this country and many people overseas who dealt with that industry. But it was still pretty narrow.
Hmm.
When I started with InventRight, it opened me up to a whole nother world of inventors and the inventor space. And, you meet somebody in Seattle and she connects you with somebody in New Jersey. You meet somebody in Omaha and he connects you with somebody in Amsterdam. You meet somebody in Israel and they connect you and they connect you and they connect you and they connect you. And first of all, it's just a lot of fun to meet people from all over the world, especially, a lot of this started during Corona or just before Corona, so COVID. So, that was also limiting the amount of travel you're able to do. The amount of trade shows were non-existent, so you really had to work it hard, online, Zooms, forums, all those kind of things to find a community of people who are doing this, and you work hard at it. But I think one of the things that's been exciting for me with Bankable and with other products I've worked on is I've really developed a team. They're not employees of my company, but they're either they're freelancers or I've taken them for different projects in different ways, and they've become my team and they've become my trusted advisors, and that's been a great experience as well. I don't know if that completely answers the question,
Oh,
if
it
I missed
does.
something there, but that's definitely been a nice piece of it.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I think it's almost like a prerequisite now for entrepreneurs that a lot of it has to be self-taught, and there's always type of class or certification or program that we go through in a field to because we know we feel like we need that one missing piece that's going to kind of get us to the finish line, right?
Right.
And for you is the invent right thing, and for me it's a certified partnership with Digital Marketer and a lot of the training that they offer and certifications, just because I feel like that's the stuff. But in the end, it real world experience, nothing tops it. And I've had that
Right.
conversation, 60, 70 times now through these with all my guests. But I got a couple more questions for you. We're kind of winding down, and I really do appreciate
Sure.
your time today, and exciting. It's going to be exciting to watch how Bankable grows here, and it's going to be fun to see from the sidelines, the proverbial sidelines. But tell us something personally or professionally. What's something that you're really thankful for?
I think I'm really thankful for support. I'm really thankful for the support of my family that's allowed me to go down this avenue. It's a little bit, it takes a little bit of guts and a little bit of risk and maybe a little bit of naivete and stupidity in certain ways. But you take a bet on yourself, and you believe that you can do it, and you push through it. But certainly you need the support of your family. I would say as well, in the inventor space, I've found it to be a very supportive space. People are not shy about connecting with each other and helping each other meet different people and say, and for myself as well, an old buddy of mine called me the other day and said, or we were talking, and he said, you know what, I got an idea, and what do you think about it? And it was an idea actually in the pet space, which is not really an industry that I'm that familiar with, or I don't have pets. I like dogs, but it's not I have 6 kids, so I don't have time for a dog. But I said, but you know what? Along my journey, I met somebody who I think is also doing a lot of work in that same space, and she's really made a lot of connections. Let me connect the two of you and see where it goes for you guys. And so I connected the two of them, and people have done similar kind of things for me. And I think that's something that it's a built-in generosity that, nobody's asking, me for a cut if something works out, and I'm not asking anybody for the same thing from anybody else either. And that's something that I don't know if you always find in every industry, and that's been a nice thing for me to see.
That is awesome, and that is something to be thankful for. I mean, when I got into the marketing space, the marketing agency space, it was real tempting and real easy to want to get into this this competitive nature, right? Where every other marketing agency is a competitor. And what I've learned is we're not. Every agency does something different, right? I've worked with more agencies now, I think, at this point than I have clients, because certain agencies do certain things really well that I might not. So we lean on each other for support for those connections, and then I've had some of my greatest friendships that I have now are with people who are in the agency space, but we're not in competition with one another. We pull for each other. We try to pass business to them when it makes sense, and it's been a real embracing. But I'm sure there's still thousands of inventors out there and thousands of agency owners who feel like they're in competition with everybody else who puts that title after their name, and the world's too big and life's too short, to worry.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, cool. So I know we kind of alluded to one question earlier. This is the last question I always wrap up with. You may or may not, but in working with new products and working with things you have going on, are there any questions that potential customers might ask, or any objections that you hear, or frequently asked questions that come up oftentimes, and how would you answer that, if any?
I think the biggest thing that I hear is, wow, how do you do that? How does that work? And I have ideas, and can I do something like that? How does that, just the macro, I think is the thing I hear more than anything else. First of all, everybody gets very excited about it. To hear somebody's an inventor, to hear somebody is developing products that aren't out of the market yet, people get excited about it. But as I said before, everybody has ideas. That's a great thing. And I think as far as how I answer is a couple of things. First of all, I answer is that it requires a leap of faith if you really want to go into it, and it requires a lot of patience, because very rarely does something happen like that. It's really, things just take time. It takes time to learn. It takes time to develop. It takes time to build the marketplace. It takes time to build the connections. It just takes time. And that can be hard and frustrating and stressful. But if you can be patient with it, and if you're the kind of person that can roll a little bit with the punches, and that you got a great shot. If you got a good idea, go for it. And the other thing I think I would say is find somebody, either by hiring them or just by somebody who you can trust to mentor you a bit in some way, shape, or form, whatever you succeed in finding, whatever works for you, who can really, there are steps and there are systems that can make this process much easier for you, and increase your chances of bringing a product to market. I know I found people like that. Some of them have become trusted friends and advisors. Some of them I pay for service. But having those people, I can say, I'm stuck here. What am I missing? What's not working? Or am I going through the right steps? Or, okay, I did all of this. Do you think this material would be better or that material would be better? But, all of those kinds of things are elements that, I don't know everything. I'm never going to know everything. But if I can build up this group of people who I can learn from and partner with in different ways and in different opportunities and different moments, it will enable me to be able to bring my products to market, and I hope one day to be able to help other people bring their things to market as well. I think those are probably the biggest messages, I would say.
That's a heck of a good way to end this. I mean, it really is. I agree 100%. I think finding. I love that you went to mentorship. Like, I love that you went to find somebody, a trusted guide, a mentor, somebody who can help you along the way. Because it's really easy to get, that ego, like, oh, I got this, or nobody's going to do it as good as me, or I'm in control. And that's usually the first sign where, like, you're failing, right? Or flailing, yes. Right? For that matter, and I think it's so good that we rely on other people to help us. I've said this, I don't know how many times I've said this on Meet the Experts, but you just nailed it with what you said there. But, Tiger Woods at his prime had a coach. Right? The greatest athletes in the world have coaches, trainers, financial people. There's these people. Everybody's got all these people in their lives because you need it. You need it to get through life, and even in inventing. Oh, I got this idea. Well, we'll find somebody that can help you along the way. Find a dozen people that can help you along the way. Why not?
Completely.
Yeah. So, well, cool, David. I really do appreciate you being a guest on Meet the Experts. Hang out backstage. I'll be with you in a minute. But again, thanks for being a guest today. It's been
thank you very much. And this platform that you're giving to business owners such as myself is really an amazing thing. Thank you for all you're doing and for taking the time with me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. If anybody wants to learn more about David, go to ABetterDesignCompany.com. It's been scrolling at the bottom the whole time, from starting idea all the way to the finish line. I love that. ABetterDesignCompany.com. And we'll talk again soon.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. I told you if you stuck around to the end of the episode, which would be pretty easy to do in this case because David was a fantastic interview. If you look at the bottom of the screen, if you want to be a guest on Meet the Experts podcast, really easy. Doesn't cost you anything unless you need our help with some video production after the fact. Just go to www.meettheexperts with an S, meettheexpertspodcast.com, www.meettheexpertspodcast.com. And it's a quick application. Read all about it, learn about it, apply. We'll book a sound check. We'll kind of get to know each other a little bit, learn about the business. We'll tell you a little bit more about the show, and then we'll book a date and time to record. And then we'll stream that episode out shortly after the recording. And so go there now. And if you want some extra visibility for you and your business, or a year's worth of social media content in under 30 minutes, let's talk. All right. Hope everybody has a wonderful day, and we'll see you on the next episode of Meet the